Hey, Mike.
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm excited for a new year of cool House of Bob stuff.
I'm excited for a new year of cool Tales of Bob stuff.
Oh, well, that's kind of you to say. Well, if we want to do more cool stuff in 2024, what kind of cool stuff should we do, Alex?
I don't know. I feel like maybe we should set a New Year's resolution to do different cool stuff with our Patreon.
Oh, well, how would we decide what to do?
That's a good question. Should we break the fourth wall and ask listeners what they would want to see and hear in the Patreon?
Oh, hi, listeners. I didn't see you sitting there, listeners. How are you? I didn't know you were there. Well, it's so great to see you.
Wow,
you snuck right up on us.
Man, I mean, they're very quiet.
Yes, they're very quiet listeners, but we want them to be loud, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe they could provide us with some feedback.
They could.
About what they'd like to hear.
You know what would be a cool way to provide feedback?
How's that, Alex?
Is with a survey we've already made. And if you're listening to this, the survey link is at the very, very bottom. The very bottom of the show notes.
All the way past everybody, all the names.
All the names of all the beautiful and great smelling and
clean,
strong and nimble people who already support the Patreon. The link's way down at the very bottom. Or it's in our Discord, or you could probably email us. I bet we'd email it back to you if you asked.
Message us on social media if you want. Yeah. We'll send you the link.
100%. So if you're already a patron, we'd love to hear about what you like, what you don't like, what you'd maybe like to hear more of or less of, or new stuff you'd like to hear. If you're not a patron already, let us know what might convince you to become a patron. Is there something we're not doing on Patreon that would persuade you in the nicest possible way to become a patron? We'd love to hear about it.
Right.
The sky's the limit. If there's something cool you want to see or hear on the Patreon, let us know.
So complete that survey. Links at the very bottom of the show notes. Let us know what you'd like to hear more of or read more of or whatever on the Patreon feed, and we'll see what we can do. We appreciate all of your support so much. Thank you for listening. For those of you who are already Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your support.
Welcome back to Gunsmoke, a Spire RPG actual play from the House of Bob.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm playing Isstran Maelyl, the spider descendant midwife.
I'm Dan. I'll be playing Ugo Verite, the Vermissian sage.
I'm Alex, and I'll be playing Xerōth, the cannibalistic carrion priest.
I'm Cristina, and I'm playing LaCroix, bartender by night, night by day.
And I'm Jake, your game master. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit us at patreon.com/thehouseofbob. Last time, we became acquainted with the members of our ministry cell, Leon, Xerōth, Isstran, and Ugo, and they had met to discuss the unusual developments in Red Row as of late. Ultimately, they decided to look into the dangerously violent anti-Aelfir group known as the Crimson Vigil, before they do something rash and draw unwanted attention to the district. To that end, the group is heading towards the school that Isstran works at to investigate rumors of Crimson Vigil recruiters acting in the area. Ecole Saint Meridian is in the Stacks, a much more densely residential area of Red Row with a crowded mass of buildings of various shapes and sizes built around and up one of the district's large support pillars. The school is a low, long brick building with a small garden out front, and it's actually in better condition than a lot of the tenements around it. You know that it's funded and operated by the collective efforts of the community here. I was just going to ask, I don't know if we've settled on what Isstran does here. Is she's a teacher or a principal, nurse, headmistress, janitor?
Not janitor.
Okay.
Hey, I hadn't thought of it. Let's go with nurse. That sounds like, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense, I think. So your concern is that, again, you've kind of heard rumors and suggestions that perhaps the Crimson Vigil has been recruiting out of this area. And there's kind of two different areas where this has potentially been occurring, or you think this might have happened. The first would be, you think the most likely targets would be the older students here, particularly the students who are just about to come of age, at which point they'll be taken by the Aelfir to serve their durance. So this is sort of a inflection point for a young drow, especially in Red Row, where there kind of is some options to avoid the durance. You can join a gang, you can hide out somewhere, or perhaps join a violent cult looking to overthrow that system that threatens to tear you apart from your friends and family.
Hypothetically, if such a thing were to exist.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
No.
You know that the older kids play Kybed Yell in the back alley after class, despite protestations from the staff about playing the dangerous game. But that would be one approach.
Can you tell us more about that game?
Kybed Yell?
Yeah.
It is not entirely unlike Drow lacrosse.
Okay.
But instead of like a lacrosse stick, you have a small sword that you have to bounce a ball on the edge of the blade.
That's fucking metal.
Cool.
How violent is it?
I mean, when it's just a bunch of kids playing, probably not. But the Pro League can get a little rowdy. Particularly the Pro League, it's required that you play inebriated.
Oh.
Nice.
You have to blow
Excellent.
into the thing. And
Yeah, exactly. They actually test people to make sure they're drunk enough. The reason being they
Wow.
believe that the victor is decided by divine intervention. So, like, you can't win because of your own skill. You have to win because God chose you to win.
Wow.
This is my kind of game.
Yeah, so that would be one approach. The other approach, and another maybe perhaps likely recruitment target, would be just the parents of the students here. And in particular, Isstran, you know of one woman here named Matilda, and she's the mother of two of the students at the school. Little Charlotte in 3rd grade and Anton, who's graduating later this year. And you know that Matilda's husband passed away a couple years ago. Things have been pretty hard for them, but she's shown admirable tenacity and spirit in light of the situation. However, you have noticed some unusual behavior from her in the past month or so. She's been frequently late to pick up or drop off the kids, looking exhausted. You've also noticed on occasion cuts and bruises on her arms and hands that she's tried to cover up with makeup.
okay.
Isstran shares that information on the way to the school.
You're all in the know.
All right, so maybe we should go talk to Anton. He seems like the key.
Well, I'm not sure that Anton actually knows much. I think it's his mother that's involved, but could be a window to the mother.
Oh, I figure like Anton's got to be like the target.
It's possible.
It is the kids that are recruiting, right? That's what we
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
led to believe.
You don't know for sure, but you think those are probably some of the likely targets, yeah.
Okay.
Have I noticed anything different from Anton?
I don't think so, actually, no.
Okay.
Other than perhaps, he's hanging around the school more because he's watching after Charlotte while they wait for Matilda to show up.
Matilda being the mother.
Yeah.
I'll also throw out there that, feel free to split up, or remember you have bonds that you can send to go do stuff for you and that kind of thing as well. But it's also fine if you all want to go swarm this woman too.
Swarm this woman. Yeah.
Feels weird when you put it like that, but okay.
No, whatever works best for you guys.
The Crimson Vigil is like recruiting these kids into a gang. It's bad fucking news, right? And
Into a cult, right?
into a cult.
Super violent cults,
Super
too.
violent cult.
Yeah.
Are there like calling cards of the Crimson Vigil? Are there like graffiti that they leave around, like tags? Or how would people know that the Crimson Vigil has been around?
Typically the wake of destruction.
The wake of destruction. Okay. All right.
How do they tell the difference between that and our thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of destruction in this place.
The Crimson Vigil are not afraid of collateral damage or civilian casualties or anything like that while they pursue their goal. And in terms of like symbols, they worship the blood moon.
Okay.
And they have a penchant for fire and explosions and that kind of thing is their usual MO.
Okay. Xerōth would like to perhaps break off from the group, recognizing that maybe he's a bit spooky if they're going to be talking to kids. Maybe he doesn't want to scare any kids from talking to some less terrifying looking people in our group. What I'd like to do is maybe like look around the school for clues. Look for maybe evidence of like people playing with fire, or look for maybe carvings of the blood moon somewhere, or some sort of evidence that the Vigil has been in there recruiting.
Sure. Sounds good. Let's do that first then. If you want to kind of just look around the school, see if you can find some clues or some signs of that the Crimson Vigil might have been here. Probably going to be investigate academia,
Okay.
which you don't have either of, unfortunately.
I don't.
But you can certainly give it a shot.
Yeah.
And you're going off on your own to do this. The rest have other plans, or
I was going to ask, how old is Venice?
That's your page, however
Yeah.
old you want them to be. Or you're not page, you're squire.
Squire, yes.
That's the word.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he was kind of similar age to these kids.
Sure.
Or older.
Your call.
Yeah, we'll say maybe just like a year older or so. Just because maybe he can actually scope out what's going on with the kids, as
Maybe
they
he
say.
knows some of the kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, let's then finish up what Xerōth is doing there, since it sounds like he's on his own. What'd you get on your investigate academia
Remind me
roll?
again, is this just D6s or?
D10. You always roll one D10.
Okay.
If you had the skill, you would add a D10. If you had the domain, you would add a D10. And if you had mastery or assistance, you would add a D10.
I don't have any of that shit.
You do not.
So-
So just one D10.
8.
8. That's good. That's a success.
Okay.
Not only is it a success, it is a success with no consequences.
Nice.
I think you find a couple things. At the entrance to the school, there is kind of just a little trash bin outside. And you notice sticking out of the trash bin is a flyer. This flyer is actually advertising a play called The Weeping Maiden. But what's more interesting than that, actually, I think maybe your hyena sniffs this out, is that it's stained with a kind of sticky black substance. And you know that this sticky black substance is called Spire Black, and it is highly flammable.
Ooh. Okay.
And you know that it is absolutely something that the Crimson Vigil would use.
Spire Black?
hmm
This weird sort of ichor or whatever?
Yeah, it's kind of like oil equivalent, kind of, or gunpowder equivalent, but it is not man-made, I suppose you might say. It appears to seep from the spire itself. So it's
Whoa.
kind of, another word for it would be like, people call it like spire mucus or spire phlegm and that kind of thing, because it seems to just seep out of the walls.
Flammable things just seep out of the walls. That's great.
That's cool. That's cool. No big deal.
It only seems to appear in places where there's highly concentrated industry. So it wouldn't show up here normally.
I see.
Well, I'm going to take the flyer and I'm going to like tuck it into one of the pockets of my robes. And then I'm going to like circle back around behind the group. And Isstran like works with these students, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica, you said that they're like, you're a nurse here?
I'm a
you know-
nurse.
Okay. So I'm going to pull Isstran aside and show her what I found and explain that the Spire Black is a calling card of the Vigil. They have been here.
I had hoped that the rumors were false, and the Crimson Vigil was not here. Seems that hope is at an end.
Xerōth nods. Can we, like, ask some of the kids if they have seen this flyer?
Isstran is going to suggest that Leon and maybe Venice take that Talaris take them back to where the kids would be playing to maybe get an in there. And then the rest of them could go talk to Matilda.
Okay, sure. So Talaris is your colleague in the midwife order, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume she's I guess I just made her associated with the school somehow. I guess that wasn't.
No, that's fine.
And she knows about us, about me being involved with the ministry.
Okay.
So she's cool.
She's cool.
Okay.
Does that sound good to Leon and Venice?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Hugo can, of course, go. I hadn't, not trying to speak for people, but
I don't know where I'm going.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't have a specific plan other than to maybe integrate my kid there.
Okay, well then, yeah, maybe Ugo and Isstran might decide to go talk to Matilda if that would be who's left over. Hugo.
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 I go. We all go.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm not going to play two NPCs here, talking to myself. So Jessica, are you comfortable taking on Talaris?
Sure.
And I guess Leon, if you're going yourself, you can be Leon. And then I could take on Venice, I suppose, or Venice.
All right, if you could do Hugo as well. Thanks.
Sure. So is there anything you guys want to tell us about Venice or Talaris before we head over there?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they gave off is he's rebellious is from the book, but that's it.
Okay.
I'm going to say that Talaris teaches. She's a teacher at the school, and she does work with the older kids. That's why I picked her, because she'd know the older kids.
Sure. So you guys head to where you know the older kids would be You kind of hang out after school, the alley behind the school, where they've kind of fashioned a makeshift Kaibadyel arena. And in the back alley here, you encounter the terrifying sight of a pack of teens.
I jump behind a bag of garbage.
There's 4 of them kind of running and jostling and shouting as they play the game, and another 2 are sitting on some boxes, chatting and passing a flask back and forth. And what are you doing from here? Are you guys just watching? Are you approaching? What's the plan?
Talaris is going to walk in and kind of clap her hands a couple times to get attention of the kids, and motions towards Venice and says, "Students, we have a prospective new student. I would like you to introduce yourselves and speak to them and give them an idea of what school's like here."
As you approach, the one with the flask tosses it behind the box nonchalantly or tries to hide, but it doesn't succeed. And let's have Talaris roll to have some authority here and take control. I think she would have the academia domain. You said she was a teacher for sure. Do you think she would have compel? Is she an authoritative figure here?
I don't know. No, I'm going to go with no.
Okay. So it's still 2d10.
Okay.
And if Leon or Venice are doing something to help, they can give you another d10. I guess Venice would be helping. Venice has been prepped for this, that he's supposed to try to ingratiate himself with these people. But, he's on the edge of that rebellious nature, so we'll see how it goes. Let's start with Talaris' roll, and we'll see.
So that's 3?
Yeah, 3d10, yeah.
7's my highest.
Success at a cost takes stress. It's not going to be a particularly dangerous amount of stress or anything. Talaris is kind of, pushing her authority and her reputation a little bit here to get this done. So she will take a little bit of stress, which may or may not be a factor later. But it is a success. Venice kind of moves into the group and they start talking a little bit and, where are you transferring from and that kind of thing. And what was the kind of information or what are you trying to get out of this?
I was thinking more along the lines of maybe somebody new, like an actual, maybe like recruiter or something like that.
Oh, that you're thinking that one of the students might be?
Yes.
Yeah, we can say that. So yeah, they chat for a little while and Venice is kind of sizing up each person and maybe catches a glimpse underneath the sleeve of a tattoo of a blood moon or something to that effect that would tip them off. And, after they've been chatting for a little while, they split up and report back to you. And he points out one of the students that you think might already be connected to this Crimson Vigil.
Okay. Not that we should swarm him, but maybe see if Venice maybe could get like a connection to go to. I don't know if they have meetings. They must have a meeting place or something. They figure where they're going to burn up.
So you want Venice just to kind of get a meeting place out of that, where they might be able to meet some of the other Vigilites?
Yes.
Sure. There's whole neighborhoods of abandoned warehouses and decrepit old tenements and things like that. So in the corner of Kiln Street and Dead End Street, there's an old warehouse where they hold meetings.
Great. Well, then I think scoping it out would be something Leon would like to do, but I don't know if that would be a later time or I can do that now.
Let's stay at the school for now before we go off campus, so to speak.
So I'm giving Venice some money for doing a good job today.
Oh, thank you, sir. Am I allowed to buy alcohol with this? Last time you slapped it out of my hand.
It's your money, kid.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's go over to Isstran and Ugo. I think the plan was to go try to talk to Matilda, the parent that was maybe acting a little strangely as of late. All right.
Yep.
How was she acting strangely again?
She was frequently coming in late to pick up or drop off the kids. She always seemed just totally exhausted. And she had some injuries on her arms and hands that she was trying to cover up, but didn't get past Istran's sight.
Well, Isstran, you know her, so I'll let you take the lead.
Isstran nods. I don't know if we're actually able to find her because,
well, if we just wait for pickup time, she'll come eventually.
Yeah, right now it's after class, and as the pattern lately seems to have been, she is late to pick up Charlotte. So you see Charlotte is just kind of hanging out with one of the teachers while the other kids are, picked up.
Isstran, could you maybe go and sub for the teacher maybe? We could watch the kid, wait for the mom to come?
Of course. I'm sure that the teacher would be happy to be able to take off.
Yeah, let's give that a go. That way we have an actual in.
We do that.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. The teacher is absolutely fine with that. She gets to go take a break.
0 questions.
Yep.
Yep, here's this kid. Picks it up. Plops it beside you.
In your face, I recognize someone at least have a child.
Like we said, Isstran's a school nurse here, so it's not at all unusual for her to take her shift taking care of some of the kids here. So we got little Charlotte. She's in 3rd grade. And she's got a doll that she's playing with and says, "Hi, Isstran."
Hello, Charlotte.
It's very comforting.
Yeah,
voice.
to us, we love it.
Sick child comes in. They're upset, crying. How can I help you?
Nothing like a raspy voice to make you feel better.
Hey, Charlotte. I'm Istran's friend.
This is Ugo.
"Hi, Ugo."
Hi.
She pulls out a second doll and hands it to you,
Oh, fun.
knocking her doll against your doll.
Oh, we're fighting. That's how it's going to be, hey?
Or doing other things.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, if we have a second, we could ask
Yeah.
Charlotte. She might give us some honest answers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
From the
kids
mouth of
do.
babes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, Charlotte, why's your mom late?
She's working again.
Oh, is she working late?
Yeah, she's been working late lots lately.
Huh, where's she working at these days?
At the butcher.
Why would you need to work late at the butcher? Like, that seems pretty consistent.
Yeah. She is still in 3rd grade.
Well, that's too bad. I hope she comes real quick.
The pigs are slow, so I don't know. It's late. Yeah, she doesn't have a lot to say about that. But carry on.
Is your mom doing okay? And from what I've heard, she's been having a rough go these days.
She kind of stops with the doll for a moment and thinks about that for a little bit and says she misses Daddy.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Isstran, what happened to the daddy?
From behind Charlotte, she draws a finger across her throat.
You killed her father?
Face palm.
All right, no, I get it. I don't know how he died, but he did.
Yeah, I think Isstran would know. The father worked at a factory and there was an accident there.
Oh, okay. So not murdered by a gang or something.
Not that you know of.
Isstran will pull Ugo aside, keeping an eye on Charlotte like the responsible nurse she is,
Yeah, she's jumping up and down on the chair.
Mm-hmm.
and say, I fear that this may be a dead end. I imagine she has taken a second job to make ends meet since her husband passed.
That could be true, but from what we learned, she has some like injuries and stuff. Like, it'd be just good to know if that has anything to do with what's going on here.
Oh no, we should still talk to her, but I'm not sure this will lead anywhere.
All right, well, only one way to find out. We can't just ditch the kid now.
No, that's not an
Yeah.
option.
You guys are responsible for this child now.
Teacher's gonna go for a smoke.
Is mom gonna have a factory accident too? Jeez.
Oh, no.
Then we got a little sidekick.
Unless you have any other questions for Charlotte, we'll move on.
Okay.
You are playing with Charlotte and you see her eyes go big and she jumps up off the chair and runs towards the door and saying, Mama, Mama. You see Matilda walk in the front entrance looking like basically dead on her feet, like she hasn't slept in some time. Both of you kind of know a bit of first aid and you can see the signs of some scarring on her arms from a recent injury.
Could I do some sort of research to maybe deduce what caused those injuries?
Yeah, sure. You could roll fix and let's call it low society.
I can help because I have both of those.
I got a 10.
There you go. So
Yay.
it's critical success. There aren't any rules for a critical success on like a skill check. There is in
Mhm.
combat, but I would be inclined to either make it, something extra cool happens or you get to heal a little stress or something like that as a bonus. Ugo, you did take some reputation stress last
I did,
session.
yeah.
So you could heal that one stress as a result of your crit there.
Cool.
So as Matilda walks up, you take a look at the wounds. From afar, it might have looked like, maybe just like a cut or bruise or something like that. But closer up, you can tell that it's probably at least partially a burn mark.
Okay.
And not like a flame burn, probably like an acidic chemical burn or something like that.
Like from Spire Black.
That doesn't sound like something you'd use at a butcher's.
Nope.
Yeah, we don't have acidic pigs here. Right?
God, I hope
I
not.
you
can't
don't
say
know.
for sure either way.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's a delicacy.
Before we start talking, I'd like to use Protector's Eye. I get to find out what an NPC wishes to protect above all else.
Oh.
Is there a roll or anything with that? I don't think so, actually.
I don't.
think it's
Once
just-
per situation.
Okay, cool. Ancient instincts bound into you by forgotten sorcery give you a measure of what a person really cares about. You've been a part of this mystical order that for generations has safeguarded the drow, and that has given you this particular insight into what the people around you care about and what they are willing to fight for. You see, the thing that she wants to protect the most is her children's futures, basically.
I thought it would probably be an answer like that.
Yeah. Parents and their kids, am I right?
Ugh,
Gross.
gross.
You will head over to Matilda.
Okay, cool. Charlotte's currently like grabbing onto her arm and kind of jumping up and down and saying, Mama, can we go to Fungus King?
Fungus
We have Fungus King at home.
You see that Matilda's just exhausted and she's trying to get her to settle down a little bit. Inside voices, Charlotte, come on. Yeah, and we've got Fungus at home. And she sees you approach and says, hi, Isstran. How's your family?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. I was hoping we might have a moment of your time.
She looks like she doesn't really want to say yes, but doesn't have the appropriate social reason to say not to, or to say that she won't. So she says, yeah, of course. What can I help you with?
I asked Charlotte to go wait in the chair again.
Yay, chair! And she goes, jumps up and down on the chair somewhere.
Aw, what a wonderful little girl.
Wild. Okay. Matilda, I am concerned for you. I know that things have been hard since your husband's passing, and I want to make sure things aren't happening that could leave your children completely parentless.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
It all sounds like a threat in this voice. So.
Right, I guess that's true, yeah.
That's just how she talks.
Again, you get the sense that maybe her patience is a little thin for this line of reasoning, but responds, thank you for your concern, but just, I've been working, taking out some extra shifts at the butchery, and I'm a little tired, but I'm doing all right.
Do you need some bandages? I see you got some chemical burns on your arm.
She's taken a little aback. She was kind of trying to cover up those wounds with some makeup, and obviously that has failed. So she kind of instinctively tries to cover up her arms a little bit, but says, I'm fine, thank you. I got treatment at the hospital down the street. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. They look like they hurt.
She looks sad.
No.
Did you get those at the butcher?
Yeah, we got a new set of knives that's sharper than I expected.
And that gave you chemical burn.
They've got you there. I think.
Caught in a lie. She says, Isstran, Ugo, I'd like to take Charlotte home now, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's some cash. You take her on down to Fungus King. You get her something special.
Fungus King! That's the only part of the conversation Charlotte heard was the words Fungus King.
Fungus King.
If you guys want to continue asking her questions or anything, it'd probably just be a roll involved, but otherwise she is telegraphing her intention to leave.
That's fine.
Isstran will just take her arm before she leaves and look her in the eye and say, don't do anything that might cause you injury. I worry for you and for the children.
Fucking spooky.
still a threat, yeah.
Trying to look concerned and sincere, but
Yeah, no, for
there's
sure.
only so much she could do with a voice.
I have a quick question. Would you have maybe raised her? Because you're old enough, right, to be her nurse or whatever.
Probably.
So you could maybe use that also.
Maybe. We can't just say that you raised everybody, though. So
That's true.
So pick and choose when you want it to be most
Yeah,
interesting. But
We're good.
Okay. She responds to what Isstran was saying about not doing anything that will cause her injury. And for a moment, she looks up at you with a very kind of serious expression and says that if I don't, who will? And then she walks away and grabs Charlotte.
Okay. I'll let her go.
Isstran, would you be able to, like, maybe get the records? Like, find out where she lives?
Do I have those kind of records?
School records, like, might make sense.
Oh, yeah. If you wanted to find her, you could. That's fine.
Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe do some tracking or just,
I think that's wise, Ugo. Yes, I think I can.
All right, let's make a plan of that.
I was going to suggest that if I was close enough to overhear this, that I might want to, from a distance, follow them and find out if they are indeed going home or if they're making other stops that...
Yeah, they're going to Fungus.
Well, they're going to Fungus
King.
Are they just going to Fungus King and then straight home, or are they going to the grocery store on the way? I want to know what else they're up to.
I give you some cash to get me a patty shake.
Okay.
Man, you're loaded.
Yeah, really. Since when?
Man, okay.
Well, it's just fast food, you guys. Unless this is like the keg or something. I don't know.
I assume if she's working extra long shifts at the butcher, she's probably not well off. So Patty King's probably
Extra shifts. I
At
think
the
that's what it is.
butcher.
at the butcher.
Yeah. Well, definitely
Quote,
butcher,
unquote.
but
Yeah.
a different kind.
Yeah.
You can definitely follow her.
From a distance.
From
I
a
don't
distance.
want to be spotted, especially after like this interaction.
Mhm.
And with how you look, you're scary.
But I
Your
blend in.
whole thing.
I mean,
You will scare the child.
yeah, but I'll blend in.
Cool. Sounds good. So the skill for tracking, I think, would be Pursue.
Okay.
And low society still.
2 9s.
Nice.
Success with no drawbacks. Yeah, you follow her and they swing by the Fungus King first and then head home. It looks like she was being truthful, at least about that. And you have determined where her home is so that, Isstran and Ugo don't have to go digging through the files.
Cool.
All right. Well, I make note of that. And then on my way back to let the group know about that, I do stop back at the Fungus King for Ugo. And I pick him up a fungus shake and an order of fungus poppers. So
Wow.
Oh.
I didn't give you enough money for those.
that's my treat.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's my treat, young man.
Oh, boy.
All right. You confirmed that the Vigilites have been here. You found their, that Spire Black stained flyer. You have maybe found out that, one of the students might be associated with the Crimson Vigil and where you might be able to meet some of the other members. You also confirmed the location. That sounds weird. You also found out where Matilda lives. Should you wish to follow up further on her whole deal, which you got the sense that there's something she isn't telling you, obviously. So.
Yeah. But she didn't make any unplanned stops on the way home today. So.
No, not tonight anyway.
All right.
What's next on the agenda then, boys and girls?
Do we want to go check out the warehouse that we've
Yeah. Stake out.
Leon
Stake
got?
out.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. With the information that Venice was able to get out of the students, the location of a warehouse where the Crimson Vigil has been reported to meet on occasion, the corner of Kiln Street and Dead End Street. You said you were just kind of going to stake it out, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So, yeah, it just looks like a kind of old abandoned warehouse. The ceiling has collapsed in part of it, and there's some fencing around the outside to try to prevent kids from going in and hurting themselves. And that's about all you see immediately. Describe to me kind of what you're doing, how you're staking this out, what the tableau looks like.
I feel like it would make sense if we split in twos, like front and back.
Yeah.
What Leon has been thinking is that maybe we can see like who is coming in and out. Like they probably have meetings there like certain days, but maybe somebody does the daily, planning and all that stuff.
Sure.
Bunch of runners.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how busy this place is.
Sure. So, yeah, you set up shop, a couple in the front, be behind the fencing, and another couple in the back on top of another old building there. And you watch for a while, and eventually you see two individuals approaching the back entrance to the warehouse. One, Venice elbows Leon and says, "That's the kid from earlier." And you see the teen from earlier, and he is accompanied by a man with an open leather jacket, and you can see his chest is covered in tattoos of flames and daggers and bombs and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Seems like bad news.
The two of them walk into the building with a quick glance behind them to make sure nobody is watching. Whoops.
Waving at them. Hi.
And then a moment later, the alleyway echoes with the sound of a gunshot from within.
Oh.
Whoa.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The House Above. If you've enjoyed the show, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends, hit us up on social media, or stop by our Discord so you can chat with us and like-minded viewers. All the links to that are in the notes. If you're really enjoying the show and you want to support us financially, check out the Patreon. We've got all sorts of bonus content on there, including a monthly bonus recording like director's commentary and one-shots. There are RPG zines and a monthly blog post and the big old back catalog of that content now at this point. And a huge shout out to all our current patrons. We couldn't do it without you. Artwork for this episode was by Jake at Javix, audio production by Alex of Astronomic Audio, and the music was by Duke Albert. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Roll on.
There's a pensive look.
Pensive look.
Sounds like y'all gave up.
Shouldn't interrupt your
Yeah, I
pensive
know.
look.
Well, we're out of here.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That's too bad.
Yeah, we've confirmed they're here.
That sucks, bro.
We were hoping we didn't have to do anything.
We were hoping for false rumors.
I mean, we found proof pretty early.
Yeah, at least
We
there's
know
that.
they're here.
How is it pronounced? Venus? Venus?
Yeah, I've been saying Venus. Or no, now I can't get it right.
Sorry.
Venice.
Venice is what I've been
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nailed it.
You did.
I didn't
But
even
then
know.
when she said Venice, I was like, oh no.
Hey, I managed to get a clap into the recording.
Stake me out tonight. I don't want.
What are we doing?
That's the end.
It's a good thing you're third.
Just say our names and our character names?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Dan and I'm playing
Gotcha.
Ugo, a cool guy who
I thought you
knows
were
cool
Jake.
stuff.
Who has tons of money.
Just use that. That's fine.
Big fan of Fungus King.